Really?
Yes, everything is okay, Maharaj.
And
Thanks
he
to
list
Krishna.
said it's really bad, prices are terrible, everything's really
Okay,
terrible.
Maharaj, that is a part of life. That is a part of life.
That's what?
That is a part of life in Nigeria. It's like buy one, you get another thing free. So this is like this. Everything comes as a bonus. Maharaj, that is a part.
It's nice to have such a good attitude. What?
That is a part of life in Nigeria. It's like buy one, you get another thing free. So this is like this. Everything comes as a bonus.
All right, well, that's a nice attitude. That's everybody should be. So today is Radhastami, correct?
Yes, Maharaj.
What? So am I the first speaker or what's going on? I see you had four.
Yes, Maharaj, you are the first speaker, so we wanted you to start.
All right, well, that's a nice attitude. That's everybody should be. Okay, now I got to echo. Hey, Radhastami, correct?
Yes, Maharaj.
So I'm hearing myself much after I speak.
I'm closing that now, Maharaj. YouTube. We wanted you to start.
So everybody mute, please.
Yes, Maharaj. Everyone is muted, Maharaj.
Okay, so Radhastami is a very auspicious. We've had a series of very auspicious days in the last 3 weeks. We had Balaram's appearance day, then Krishna's appearance day, and then Prabhupada's appearance day, now Radharani. So they're all very important. They all go together. You can't separate them. Ultimately, we can't separate Krishna from Radharani. And it's very mysterious, the whole issue. Nama Om Agana Timirandasya Ganangana Shalakaya Chaksura Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Te Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavari Paschatya Desa Karane Panchakalpa Tarusya Kripa Sindhu Bhevitra Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnave Yo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tvishe Nama. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Takta Kanchana Gaurange, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari. Okay, so I just heard Jayapataka Swami once asked Prabhupada to talk about Radharani, and Prabhupada got very angry and said, "Who are you to ask about Radharani? You're not qualified. You can't ask about her." So she's the internal energy of Krishna, that much we know. She's the first expansion of Krishna, and she has unlimited good qualities. So we do have some information. There's a Ladini Shakti. Shakti means energy. Ladini is the internal energy, first expansion of Krishna so that he can enjoy. So this Krishna is not alone ever, but he simultaneously is one, becomes two, so he can enjoy, and it's his internal energy, the compassion, love, mercy, all those things is Radharani. She's the most merciful. Some different groups, they like to sing, the name Radha, Radhe, 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 Radhe all the time. Prabhupada never did that, neither are any of our acharyas. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that we chant Krishna because that's what Radharani likes. In Nectar Devotion, we learn that Radharani doesn't like to hear anything except Krishna's name. Her ears don't function except to hear Krishna's name. She can only see Krishna. So she likes to hear Krishna. So we chant Krishna. That's for the pleasure of Radharani. But we're chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare is calling out. Hare means calling out to, like Radha, and then Radhe means please Radha. So we're calling out to Radharani, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So asking Radharani to please give us service to Krishna, because she is the most merciful. And if she asks Krishna for something, Krishna will surely give it. Therefore, we pray like that. So Prabhupada, in the early days of Radhastami, he sang this song by Rupa Goswami, and he taught us to sing it. Everybody knows it, but Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. O Radha, O beloved of Madhava, O you who are worshipped by all the young girls of Gokula. All glories to you. One minute here, I gotta share the link. Hare Krishna. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Then Damodara Rati Vadana Veshe Hari Niskuta Vrindavi say. You who dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you, O Queen of Vrindavan, which is the pleasure grove of Lord Hari. That's the next one. Vishabhanu Tati Navashashileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. O new moon, who is risen in the ocean of King Vishabhanu, O friend of Lalita, O you who make Vishaka loyal to you, due to your wonderful qualities of friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna. Karuna Kurumai, Karuna Bharite, Sanaka Sanatan, Barnita Charite. Whose divine characteristics are described by the great sages Sanaka and Sanatan. O Radha, please be merciful to me. Sanaka and Sanatan, that's Kumaras. They actually teach about Radharani. That's how in Nimbarka Sampradaya. Nimbarka, his name was Nimboditcha. He was a young Brahmin boy. And he was just a group, and they were worshiping Lord Shiva. And he was worshiping Shiva especially nicely. And they happened to be in the Navadvip area, the place called Rudradvip. And we go there on our Prikama. And so Lord Shiva came to him and instructed him, you go back in the forest here, a certain place. And he went and he met the four Kumaras. And then the four Kumaras taught him to worship Radha and Krishna. So his line is worshiping Radha and Krishna. So Radharani, Gaudiya worships Radharani. That was introduced by Madhavendra Puri. Before that, they just worshiped Narayana or Krishna by himself. But Madhavendra Puri, being a desire tree in Vrindavan, he had witnessed all these leelas, and he revealed the higher combination of Radha and Krishna. Previously it was not understood, although in many, in the Bhagavad, because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we don't find direct mention of Radharani. We don't find that name Radharani. So some people say that's not proper to have Radha and Krishna together. But devotees understand it in a higher way. And when Krishna left the Rasa dance, he left with one gopi, and then it said Aradhana. The gopis were saying that she must have worshipped Krishna much better than the rest of us. Therefore, Krishna went with her. And that Aradhana means worship. And from that comes Radha, Radharani. So in many Puranas, there's details of Radharani. We don't want to read different scholars. I just had some notes, some devotees are just scholarly, saying, why Vyasadeva didn't put Radharani. But we accept that Prabhupada said Sukadeva Goswami didn't mention Radharani very much, although there's some, like when she's talking to the bumblebee, doesn't give her name. It just says one gopi. Because he was such a great devotee of Radharani, that had he gone on to talk very much about Radharani, he would have lost consciousness and not been able to finish the Bhagavatam, reciting the entire Bhagavatam. So that's why we don't hear so much about Radharani directly. But actually that's all it's about, is Radha and Krishna. Because it's Krishna's internal energy. Then we have Lord Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, this much I can kind of understand Radharani. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha-Krishna Nahayanya. Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna combined. Now, we have given to us by Rupa Goswami these 26 qualities of Radharani. And this is something we can meditate on. She's the most qualified, of all, of everybody. In every way, in every of the, all the different skills and so many things. And there's no one more qualified than her. She's the champion. So, but especially she stands out in her cooking and her dancing. Now that's also interesting. She had a benediction. The way she got that benediction, when she was a very small child, and she was playing, like children play, and there's several stories of things like this. And she was making food, ladus or whatever from mud. And then the children pretend, and they offer to people when they come, adults come and ask them, what are you doing? And they will take it, because the children are so charming. So Durvas Muni came. Now Durvas Muni, he's a special person. He's a partial expansion of Shiva. And he can become angry very easy and curse. So devotees are afraid of him. And he can also become pleased and give very nice benedictions. So he happened to come by, and Radharani was there with her friends and making these sweets out of mud. And so he asked, what are you doing? And Radharani was so charming and nice. And she just offered him this laddu made out.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please kindly unmute. I mistakenly mute you. Sorry. Maharaj, please kindly unmute.
I wasn't, sorry. I'm not watching, but I guess the power went off for a second. So I'll go back. I don't know where I left off. Anyway, Radharani is a very small child. They were playing, like imitating their mothers and cooking, but they were just using mud and making sweet balls or something. And this Durvas Muni came by. Now Durvas Muni is a partial expansion of Shiva. He can become angry very easy, and he can give benedictions very easily. So he asked her, what is she doing? Like, when you see children like that, people will ask him, So she offered him the sweet ball made out of mud. So she was so charming and nice that he gave her benediction that whatever she cooked would be nectar. And that whoever ate her cooking would never get sick and would be young and very good looking and healthy and so many things. So when Mother Yasoda found out about that benediction, and it was when Radharani was very young, right after Govardhan Puja, that Vishabhananda Maharaj had a huge festival after Govardhan. So, and he was feeding everybody, and so Vrishabhanu thought he should reciprocate. So he invited Nanda and everybody from Vrindavan to his festival. And Radharani was serving, and she was a very small girl, and Yashoda was kind of criticizing Kirtida, the mother of Radharani. Why are you, this young girl working so hard? But then she saw that how expert Radharani was at serving and how wonderful everything she cooked was. So she said, and then she heard about this benediction. So she then decided that she has to always cook for Krishna. So every day she would make arrangements that Radharani would come and cook for Krishna. So we have that song. Vaja Bhakata Vatsala describes all the different things. And how she served Krishna. And then Radharani would get the remnants, and then they would divide it all up. So we have information, we have especially in the Bhagavatam, the conversation of Radharani with the bumblebee. And she was feeling separation from Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna was already in Dwarka, and she was thinking this bumblebee is a messenger from Krishna. She got very angry, sent it away, and then she was criticizing Krishna. She's a special type of jalpa, becoming like crazy in separation from Krishna. She was absorbed in this higher, mood of separation. Then Lord Chaitanya, being Radha and Krishna combined, he exhibited more and more towards the end of his stay with us, this mood of Radharani and just crying all the time in separation and where is Krishna, where is Krishna? And then he was with Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, who were gopis, Vishaka and Lalita, and they would pacify him. Swarup Damodar would sing beautiful songs that were describing the similar mood, and Ramananda Roy would recite slokas that would, help Radharani to feel better. So this way he spent most of his time towards the end. But it's interesting and mysterious. He's Radha and Krishna combined, but Gadadhar is also an expansion of Radharani. And he would spend a lot of time with Gadadhar. So then he's in the mood of Krishna. And they would have loving exchanges, very similar to Radha and Krishna's exchanges. Of course, he gave Gadadhar the deity of Tota Gopinath to worship. Gadadhar was an exceptional cook and scholar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Lord Chaitanya was going to go to Vrindavan, I think he was going to Vrindavan, Gadadhar said, I'll go with you. Now, that wasn't proper because Gadadhar had taken a vow of Kshetra sannyas, which is considered a very high vow of sannyas. Sannyasi's vow is usually to travel all the time, but his vow is to stay in Puri and never go out and always just worship the deity, that particular deity. So Lord Chaitanya said, you can't go with me because you have this vow to worship Tota Gopinath. And if you leave that, you give up that vow to come with me, then I'll be responsible. You're making an offense to the deity, and I'll be responsible for that offense. So this is their loving exchange. And Gadadhar was determined, same way Radharani would argue with Krishna and criticize Krishna, become angry at Krishna, many incidents like that. Gadadhar said, that's all right. I'll go anyway of my own accord, even though you don't want me to go. Therefore, the offense will only be on me and it won't have any effect on you. Lord Chaitanya didn't agree, but Gadadhar followed him at some distance. So Lord Chaitanya was walking, and then he came to a place to cross the river. And he got on a boat, and he wouldn't let Gadadhar on the boat. And he crossed the river, and he told the boatman, don't go back. So Gadadhar was stuck. He fell unconscious, like a dead body. The same as Radharani did when Krishna left Vrindavan. But then Sarvabhauma came and pacified him and told him, you're very fortunate because the Lord has protected your vow. He didn't let you break your vow of service to the deity. So Gadadhar went on his whole life. Of course, Lord Chaitanya came back and spent 18 years in Puri. And every day with Gadadhar, he would read Srimad Bhagavatam for 3 hours, and he would relish Gadadhar's cooking, which was, of course, Mahaprasad from Gopinath. And he would glorify his cooking and the taste of the rice and so many things like that. But after Lord Chaitanya disappeared, he went into that temple and never came out. That was so close to Gadadhar. And he entered into the deity. He just merged into the deity. There's a golden spot. It's a black deity, but there's a golden spot on his leg somewhere where Lord Chaitanya just entered in. And he's not different than Krishna. He's Radha and Krishna combined. And we should remember that. We need to worship Lord Chaitanya. It's a special privilege that he's come and he's fully exhibiting that mercy feature. Radharani is the most merciful. Lord Chaitanya is fully exhibiting that mercy to engage everybody in the service of Krishna. When Radharani recommends someone, that's why devotees pray to Radharani. If she says to someone, oh, this, Hari Chakra is a very nice devotee, please give him some service, and then he will. Krishna is obliged, especially to Radharani. One Radhastami lecture Prabhupada gave, I heard, he spoke about an hour all about the glories of Krishna, the power of Krishna, how Krishna is the supreme controller. Not one mention of Radharani, only just the unlimited glories of Krishna, especially his power and, so many things. And then right at the last thing, Prabhupada said, and Radharani keeps Krishna under her control. And that's the glories of Radharani. That's of her 26 qualities. The last one is she always keeps Krishna under control. So her 25 chief transcendental qualities mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 23, 87 to 91 is some way we can get a little bit of understanding of such a personality. The gopis are all the most beautiful women, but just like all the incarnations, everything is an expansion of Krishna. All the Vishnus and all the, everything down the line, all the Lakshmis, starting from Mahalakshmi, from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, all the Lakshmis are expansions of Krishna, of Radharani. All the gopis are expansions of Radharani. But they're all separate entities also the same way. So first quality is she's very sweet. That's a type of personality, sweet, that's always all attractive. She's freshly youthful, just like Krishna, and then it gets old. Her eyes are restless. Her eyes are always looking around. Where's Krishna? She smiles very brightly. Everybody knows they love to see that. I better read this one because I'm reading a different list. She possesses all auspicious marks on her body. So we read in Nectar Devotion different auspicious marks on the body. She has all of them that, learned persons can recognize a great personality by different features of their body. She can educate Krishna by the flavor of her person. That means her aroma. She doesn't need perfume. She doesn't need to buy some kind of cologne or perfume to try to smell good. It's natural. She's expert singer. She can speak nicely and sweetly. These are good qualities, obviously, if we had these qualities. She's expert at presenting feminine attraction. But she's modest and gentle. She's not I can't remember, they got a name for it in English. These rich, beautiful girls that are really puffed up and just think put everybody down all the time because they have some good qualities. She's always modest and gentle. She's always very merciful. So that's a special quality that we want to meditate on. And Lord Chaitanya exhibited. That's why we chant Hare Krishna. Please, Radha, internal potency of the Lord, please engage me in service to Krishna. You can't. Then she's transcendently cunning. She's very clever to catch Krishna, to charm Krishna, so many things. She knows how to dress very nicely. Anyone can see that from looking at our Radha-Krishna deities anywhere, how beautiful they are. She's also very shy, and she's always respectful. So we should try, to have these qualities also. Represent Radharani. She's very grave. She's not disturbed by, ordinary things. She's enjoyed by Krishna only. She's on the highest devotional platform. She is the abode of love of the residents of Gokula. Everyone loves Radharani, same way everybody loves Krishna. She can give shelter to all kinds of devotees, even us. She always affectionate to superiors and inferiors. Affectionate to superiors and inferiors. Think about that. She's always obliged by the dealings of her associates. The same as Krishna. If anyone does anything for Krishna, even the littlest small thing, he feels obliged and he has to thinking all the time, how can I reciprocate? How can I pay back? She's the greatest among Krishna's girlfriends. And she always keeps Krishna under her control. So that's Prabhupada does quite a few Janmashtami lectures. And he doesn't talk too much about all the pastimes and everything. He stresses on these qualities. But in the Nectar Devotion, he does give a lot of little short pastimes between Radha and Krishna, conversations. Radharani's mood is, I can't remember if it was left wing or right wing gopi, but she gets angry at Krishna. And that's a special rasa. This one story where she got angry, well, several. She got angry at Krishna and said, I never want to see you again. Get out of here, go away. And then Krishna was touching her feet and begging her. That's Jayadev Goswami wrote that. Then he thought maybe that can't be right. But then it was proven to be right. And when Krishna killed Aristasura, he was there. It wasn't Radhakund and Krishna at the time, but that place, Aristagram, and Krishna killed Aristasura, who was in the form of a bull. And Radharani saw that. So she got very angry at Krishna and said, you killed a bull, you're very sinful, I never want to see you again, get out of here. And she was going on and on like that. Krishna just, listening to her. And while he was listening, he was rubbing his foot in the ground like we can do in the soft earth or if you're on the beach. And he dug like a hole with his foot. And then he was laughing kind of, and he said, so what do I have to do, because he kept saying, it's not a bull, he's a demon. She said, no, it's a bull. You killed a bull, you're sinful, and Krishna was arguing so that she wouldn't accept that. So he asked her, what do I have to do to make up for this? Prayaschitta. She said, you have to bathe in all the holy waters of the universe. So she was thinking, I got him now, he can't do that. So Krishna laughed, and all of a sudden, all the holy rivers came personified. Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati, and, holy places, holy waters from all over the universe. They all came and standing there with folded hands and asking Krishna, how can I serve you? So Radharani was shocked. And then by this time, it obviously was a fairly big pool, lake, hole. And he said, just fill this up with your water. So they all poured their water in there and Krishna took his bath. So then Radharani was really mad. And she started all her gopi friends digging with their bangles. They had these bangles and they're digging and digging. She was going to make a better lake. And Krishna laughed. He said, where are you going to get the water for yours? And she said, all the gopis will line up. We'll go to as far as Kusam Sarovara, which is 4 kilometers away by our calculation. And we'll have like a bucket brigade, and pass buckets of water back and fill up my pond. So Krishna laughed and laughed, and then he kicked there was a little wall between the two. He broke it and let all the water of his lake flow into hers. So thus we have Radha-Kund and Shyamakund. And the water's actually mixed. But Radha-Kund became the favorite place of pastimes between Radha and Krishna. And then she was pacified, and they would meet there regularly. So we have a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanastamam Parta, Daivi Prakriti Mashrita, Vajantyananyamanaso Gatva Bhutadi Mavyayam, that the great souls, they're always under the protection of the Daivi Shakti. Daivi Shakti is Radharani, the transcendental spiritual energy, the Ladini Shakti, the pleasure potency of Krishna. But we don't want to try to enjoy Radharani. We don't want to be demoniac. We don't have exactly the same example, but Surpanaka, the sister of Ravana, she wanted to enjoy Rama without Sita, same as trying to enjoy Krishna without Radharani. Malaji Prabhu told us the other day that she noticed a lot of people just putting up pictures of Radharani. And she said, Prabhupada said, no, don't put pictures of Radharani alone. Always with Krishna or with somebody else. And also Krishna, he's never alone. But so we worship Radha and Krishna, but we worship in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. So we dress them very, very opulently, in that Vaikuntha kind of mood. So we have different words as Antaranta Shakti is the internal energy of Krishna. Antaranga Shakti, and there's Bahiranga, that's the external. And then there's Tatastha Shakti, that's us, the living entities. We can be either way. So Radharani represents the Antaranga Shakti and the mercy. We need mercy. Nothing else is going to get us, into the association of Krishna except mercy. No amount of money, no amount of education, no amount of beauty or scholarliness, or all the different opulences that we might have. Everybody has some kind of opulence. We might be great musicians, or we might be great scholars, we might be very rich, or we just might be very, of course, the humble service attitude is important, because then we can actually get the mercy. By serving in a humble mood, if you have rich, if you offer it to Krishna in a humble mood for Krishna's pleasure, if you have beauty, if you have talent, if you're an artist, you're a singer, if you can offer that to Krishna in a humble mood, then that's very valuable. The thing itself is not valuable, but how we offer whatever we have, that's what's valuable. That will attract the mercy. We're trying to serve Krishna, but without the mercy, we can never really make progress. So we understand how, by seeing this Hare Krishna movement, we can get some understanding of how merciful Radharani is. But Chaitanya representing Radharani, the Guru representing Radharani, and freely distributing the holy name of the Lord, the Sankirtan movement all over the world. It's no ordinary thing. We have to, understand that and beg for that mercy. And if I researched mercy on our database, and mostly it's about giving mercy, not getting mercy. Devotees, we already have the topmost mercy. We have the holy name of the Lord. We have the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We already have that. So we have the topmost mercy. And if we want to keep that mercy and we want to get more mercy, we want to be able to really utilize that mercy and realize it, we have to give it as much as we can. Give the holy name freely, give the Bhagavad Gita, give the Srimad Bhagavatam, give the, make temples, make gathering places for kirtan, so that people can come, see the deity, bow down to the deity, get prasadam. Prasad means mercy. Prasadam doesn't mean just puris and sweet rice and pakoras, or whatever it is that, different countries consider to be really nice. I see that sometimes, we'll go, a lot of sannyasis, and we just want some fruit or some soup. And they'll say, well, don't you take prasad? I say, yeah, I hope this is prasad. You're offering this to Krishna, right? No, but what about prasad? They think prasad means, the feast only. But prasad is the mercy of Krishna. So that's special mercy, that Bhaktivinoda's prayer, that special mercy that he's given us this nice prasadam. So even though we're lusty, we want to eat nice things, we can eat nice things and still it's spiritual, as long as we sincerely offer them to Krishna in the first place. And we're cooking for the pleasure of Krishna. If we're singing for the pleasure of Krishna, if we're dancing for the pleasure of Krishna, whatever we're doing, if we're out trying to collect money for the temple, or we're out trying to sell books for the pleasure of Krishna, because Krishna likes it, that's why we become happy when we try to do these things. So we're just requesting everybody and do this. Krishna is so pleased. Radharani is pleased. Especially, she's like the Maha Sankirtan leader. She's got all the gopis. She's trying to engage everybody in serving Krishna. She just wants to give pleasure to Krishna. She says that if Krishna, wants to enjoy with another gopi, I'll go and make arrangements for that. So here's a nice statement from a Bhagavatam lecture by Gaur Govinda Swami. Guru is the Radha Priya Saki, the dear companion of Radharani. What is the business of the Sakis? Their business is to unite Radha and Krishna in the Kunja. Kunja Yorati Keli Sidaye. That is the business of the Sakis, the girl companions of Radharani. They take pleasure in uniting Radha and Krishna in the Kunja. Gurudev, spiritual master, is one of them. He's Radha Priya Saki. Prabhupada, of course, didn't say that about himself. When he was asked about that, he said that he must have been writing about his guru, Narottam Das, about his. But that is our business, to get Radha and Krishna together, chanting the holy name. And Prabhupada, he installed Radha Krishna deities all over the place, all over the world. And he was very merciful. when Prabhupada first installed Radha-Krishna in Australia, there were no brahmanas. Prabhupada just initiated everybody as a brahmana. Nobody even knew how to make a chapati. But he installed Radha and Krishna because he saw everybody was really sincere. And then when he left, he was praying to the deity and he said, so now I'm leaving you in the hands of the Malechas, and please help them. And when Prabhupada came back, they were serving Krishna so nicely. They were serving the Radha and Krishna so nicely, and they still are. So this is Prabhupada, unlimited power that he's engaging Malechas and Yavana people, all kinds of fallen, degraded backgrounds all over the world in serving Radha and Krishna. And we can, of course, begin by serving Lord Chaitanya with Radha and Krishna combined. In this way, we can approach Radha and Krishna much more easily. So we are instructed to always, before chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we chant Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. All right, I don't know how much time you want.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Actually, the rate of time, we wanted 1 hour. It's already 1 hour now. Thank you so much, Maharaj. But,
oh, I see. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Good. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
He can correct all the mistakes I made and teach you much more clearly to understand all these things. So thank you all very much. It's a pretty decent number. Arundhati Jai. Tulsi Maharani, still surviving in Mayapur. Huh? 2 Nigerian ladies are surviving very nicely in Mayapur. Tulsi and Giridhari Puja.
Yes, Maharaj.
Gayatri Devi, Isaac, Adi Chakra, surprise. And Atma Devi, even from America they're coming. Yasoda Devi, Lalita, Gyana Chakshus, always in the car, right? What country are you in? What are you driving now, Ferrari or Lamborghini? Or?
Go ahead, I'm in Ghana.
He's driving a Cadillac, he's like Tiger Woods. Be careful. Mahaksha Das. Is that Mahaksha of Slovakia?
Yes, from Slovakia. It's me.
Yeah, well, good to see you. Hope I can visit there soon.
Janandana Maharaj was here last week.
Okay, and Atma Rama, Atma Rama has become the lawyer for the ISKCON International Property Division. A big man, so be careful with him. All right, thank you all very much. I'll listen for a little while, then I have another class coming up. So I'll just mute my microphone and turn off my camera because I need to walk around a little. Glories to Prabhupada. Srimati Radharani ki jai.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving me your blessings on this auspicious day of appearance of Srimati Radharani. And I want to once again thank all of the devotees for patiently
Somya
joining.
Iyer just came on, so remember that.
Yeah, Somya Iyer, she's back then. She's in India. She's going to be giving us some poem and bhajan in the middle of the class. So, like I was saying, I will thank all of the devotees for joining on this auspicious day program. Our next speaker is Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I'm sure most of us here knows who Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is. I don't have his profile, but then I'm sure that almost all of the devotees here, because we don't have, I think, too many guests here. So Chaitanya Charan is one of our senior devotees in ISKCON, and then it doesn't need any introduction. If we want to know more about this speaker, we can go to the Spiritual Scientist website. You can read a whole lot about the personality of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I'll put the site on the chat room for anyone who wants to go to that site to see some of the amazing work Prabhu is doing globally and in our ISKCON settings. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, you're welcome. And if you're ready, we can start with you now.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for inviting me. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. And bro, can you give me the right to share screen and record also, if possible?
Yes.
Make me a co-host,
Yes.
if possible.
Yes.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. Grateful to be here with all of you today on the occasion of Radhastami. And I'll speak broadly on three main themes of how, from a universal perspective, what is the significance of Srimati Radharani, from the specific perspective of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition of which we are a part, what is the significance of Srimati Radharani, and then for our spiritual lives at whatever stage we are in, what is her significance, what is her relevance, what is the importance of her blessings. So let's begin with some verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita which illustrate the significance of Srimati Radharani's very special position. Now, so here, before I go into the verses, there is two important things to understand. That it is very difficult to actually understand things if we don't see them in their context. Now, what does seeing things in their context mean? It can mean many things, but specifically, it means that we learn to see where they are being spoken and look at who was speaking them, what was their intent in speaking them, and what is the result of speaking them. We live in a world today where there is increasing polarization, increasing violence, increasing demonization of others. And often that results because of because of a lowered consciousness. And Radharani is the manifestation of the most elevated consciousness. That actually, if we consider, it is love that has the greatest potential to elevate our consciousness. When love is replaced by selfishness, by lust, then our consciousness shrinks to what's in it for me? What can the other person do for me? When people exploit or abuse or violate others, they're thinking of the other person, they've reduced the other person to an object. And what can this person do for me? So when our consciousness shrinks, we don't even sense the consciousness of the other person. We see the other person as an object meant for our pleasure. But as our consciousness expands, then we start sensing realities beyond ourselves. And it is love that can cause the expansion of consciousness. But unfortunately, when our love is misdirected or not directed toward the eternal object, then the expansion of our consciousness brings with it the potential to cause great hurt for ourselves. That means that if we expand our consciousness, we care for someone, we care for something, then what happens is often that person can disappoint us, that person can betray us, that particular cause for which we work could end up disappointing us or turning out to be not all that glorious. So what happens is there is love and there is the object of love. Love can expand our consciousness. Love can raise our consciousness. But at whom we are directing that love, that is extremely important. When we direct that love toward Krishna, who is the highest object of consciousness, who is the highest reality, then our consciousness expands in the fullest way, in a way that is joyful, that is not disappointing, that is not frustrating. So the world, if it needs anything today, it doesn't need more. We have climate change problems, we have inflation, we have shortage of resources, so many problems. But actually, the biggest problem is that people's consciousness is shrunk, it is lowered, and we need to raise consciousness. And Radharani, her example and her blessings can both enable us to raise our consciousness. So she embodies love, but not just she embodies love at the highest degree, to the highest degree, but she also embodies love directed toward the highest object. So for example, one way the consciousness has shrunk today is by re-envisioning human history and even current humans' interactions in terms of power struggles. That the whole of human history is what men have been exploiting women. And now it is the time for women to rise. Well, yes and no. Yes. Have people been exploited? Yes. But throughout history, it is just a human tendency for the powerful to exploit the powerless. It is not just men who have exploited women. It is powerful men have exploited powerful men also. So what happens is that we have particular perspectives through which we view things. And then that perspective can extend to divinity also. That why should God be male? Well, the Bhakti tradition explains that God is not just male. In the Abrahamic traditions, God is portrayed as male. But in the Bhakti tradition, it is understood that God is not just male. But before we can understand, is God male or female? Well, the answer in the Bhakti tradition is both. He's both male and female. But a more important answer is that before we can understand whether God is male or female, or how God is both male and female, we need to understand that we ourselves are neither males nor females. We are spiritual beings. So we are neither male nor female, and God is both male and female. So if we take simply our particular preconceptions, our particular lens, and apply it to the divine, then we may not understand things holistically. Still, even with those lens, the Bhakti tradition is more inclusive, because we don't have God just in a male form. We have God as the divine couple, as both male and female. Now, Radharani is understood in two ways. One is that she is, as I said, God in the female form. Radha-Krishna Eka Atma Dui Deha Dhari. That she is one soul. They manifest in two bodies. Anonya Lila Kari, that they perform pastime. They rejoice in the pastimes. So this God in the male form, this God in the female form. And in some ways, God in the female form is considered higher because her love controls even Krishna. In fact, that is one of the key differences between the various consorts of Krishna. That Radharani, her love is so great that when she is upset, Krishna goes out of her way to please her. So she now another understanding that she is God in the female form, but she is also God manifesting as his topmost devotee. So there are both these roles. And when we approach Radharani, we approach in both ways. That she is God and she is also the greatest devotee of Krishna. So as God in female form, she can bless us through her potency, through her mercy. And as a devotee, as the topmost devotee in female form, of course, devotee is also blessed, but as the topmost devotee in female, topmost devotee, she exemplifies devotion. She shows what the topmost devotion looks like. So with this brief understanding, so Krishna is God, and Prabhupada said we are establishing international society for Krishna consciousness. Somebody may say that, okay, that if we say God is both male and female, then why is it not international society for Radha consciousness? Why is it international society for Krishna consciousness? Well, that's interesting. One of my friends, he's from a traditional South Indian background. South Indians, they worship God very much in the mood of awe and reverence. So he said, you people have got it all wrong. Krishna is God, and you just refer to him as simply Krishna. There is no Shri Krishna, no Bhagwan Krishna, just Krishna. Isn't that disrespectful? And he said, on the opposite, you have Radha and you have a double honorific for Radha. You have first Srimati and then you have Rani. So it's a double honorific, not just Radha, Srimati, Radharani. So there are double honorific for Radha and zero honorifics for Krishna. What's wrong with you people? So I explained to him how actually Srila Prabhupada coined an entire term. The English equivalent of Bhagavan, Prabhupada said, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's the honorific that Prabhupada used consistently. So it is not that we don't respect Krishna. It is that actually Prabhupada wanted us to have a personal relationship with Krishna. Prabhupada had a personal relationship with Krishna. Krishna is the most accessible personal divinity. And Krishna, we worship Krishna in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, nobody refers to Krishna as Bhagwan Krishna, even as Sri Krishna. It's a Krishna. So Prabhupada brought some glimpses of that Vrajabhav into our relationship with Krishna. And yes, Prabhupada did systematically talk about Krishna's position in his books. So anybody who reads the Shastras, as explained through Srila Prabhupada's commentary, they will understand that Krishna is the ultimate reality. But at the same time, he's not just the ultimate reality, he's the ultimate intimate reality. He's the ultimate intimate reality. Tad dure tadva antike. He's far away, he's further than the farthest, and he is closer than the closest. So Prabhupada emphasized that. Now, on the other hand, okay, if that's the case, then why Radha is having the double honorific? Now, if you read the commentaries of the books of Rupa Goswami or Jiva Goswami or Vishwanath Thakur, these are all prominent acharyas in our tradition, and they have written a lot on Vraja Leela including the Radha-Krishna pastimes. And there they refer to her simply as Radha. So then some Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur would use Sri Radha. But it is Prabhupada who is the first person who coined this term Srimati Radharani. Now Rani means queen. Srimati is honorific that refers to one who is imbued with Shri, Shriman and Srimati. Srimati means Shri can mean wealth, it can mean fortune, it can mean opulence. One who is infused, imbued, enriched with all these. So Srimati Radharani. Now, what was Prabhupada's point? That in India, there was a tendency that came up, especially after the empirical, the reductionistic lens were applied to the Bhakti tradition and to broad Indian tradition. There's an attempt to, there's a tendency to see the Radha-Krishna relationship as mundane. And especially because their relationship was in the, what is called as the Parakiras. I'll explain what it is soon. That their relationship was often seen as mundane, and not just as mundane, but as indecent. And there were people who frivolously claimed to justify their own mundane and often immoral activities by saying, actually, you know, they claim to be devotees, and they claim to be saying that actually when we do these activities, it's not we who are doing these activities. It is Krishna who is entering into the male body. It is Radha who is entering into the female body. And when people do immoral activities, it is not we who are doing it. It is they who are doing through us. Now this is perversion. Now there is an English word called rationalize. Now rationalize, it's a verb which is spelled normally as R-A-T-I-O-N-A-L-I-Z-E or S-E, depending on which British or American English is used. But rationalize. However, it can be spelled in a different way, and that is a revealing spell. Rational lies. R-A-T-I-O-N-A-L-L-I-E-S. Rational lies. So when we rationalize, we tell lies, and we use our rational faculty to justify those lies. So rationalize. So what happens is that in such situations, we end up trivializing and distorting that which is sacred. We make it profane. And Prabhupada wanted to prevent that. And that is why Prabhupada was very emphatic that Radharani should be approached in a very reverential way. So that was still Prabhupada's mood, that Krishna is approached in a very intimate way, and Radharani is approached in a very respectful way, very reverential way. Srila Prabhupada even, there is the Kund of Radharani, the Radha Kund. And Prabhupada, in our tradition, Radha Kund is considered the topmost of holy places. It is considered with the embodiment of Radharani's love in liquid form. And Rupa Goswami and the great Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, they talk about bathing in Radha Kund as the most purifying and most elevated of activities. But what happened unfortunately is that when devotees went for the first time to bathe over there, they were frivolous, they started swimming and tossing water on each other, and they thought treated like a swimming pool. Prabhupada, this is not a swimming pool, it's a sacred place. And if you're so frivolous, better don't bathe in this. No, some devotees may take that as absolute instruction that we should never bathe in the Radha Kund. However, I earlier said that there is context. Prabhupada has translated the books of the previous Acharyas, the message of the previous Acharyas, where he does say Radha Kund, bathing Radha Kund is a great fortune, and we should tap that fortune when we get it. But the point is, Prabhupada emphasized the reverential attitude very much. And that's why Srimati Radharani, that's why the strong caution when bathing in the Radha Kund. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, he didn't speak much about Srimati Radharani on Radhastami. In the entire Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada refers to Radha only twice. If you do a search for Bhagavad Gita as it is, the word Radha comes only twice in the Bhagavad Gita. And where are those two things? In the introduction when the Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, that prayer is there, the Sanskrit of the prayer and the translation of the Sanskrit. Those are the only two places where Radharani is mentioned. So Prabhupada maintained a very reverential attitude. And what is the idea is that I earlier said that, I said first, in terms of today's world, Radharani is the embodiment of the highest consciousness and the inspiration for raising our consciousness higher. Now I'm looking at, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, what is the position of Srimati Radharani? So Prabhupada approached Radharani from a very reverential perspective. At the same time, she is at the heart of our tradition. So I'll talk about two pastimes of Srimati Radharani that reveal her heart. Or rather, it is one pastime and two parts within that pastime. The Ras Leela is considered to be the topmost pastime between Krishna and the gopis, on all of Krishna Leela. So Krishna plays his flute and calls the gopis to the forest for performing pastimes with them. And then the gopis come. And when the gopis come, at that time, Krishna talks with them, pleasantries, and he says, okay, now you go back. You came here, now you go back. He says, no, we want to be with you. Okay. And Krishna, when they insist like that firmly, Krishna says yes. And then they are performing the dance. And then it seems as if they become proud and Krishna leaves them and goes away. And the gopis are shattered. And as they're shattered, they're looking around, where is Krishna gone? Now all the gopis, they are of the similar age, they've grown up together, they know each other very well. And they look and they see, we're all here, but one person is not here. And that one person is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, that is elaborated not in the Bhagavatam, but in the Goswami's literature, and that is Srimati Radharani. Initially, the reaction is, hey, who's the special person that Krishna has gone with? Oh, it's Radha. They all know that their love for Krishna is nowhere when compared to the love of Radharani for Krishna. So what happens is, as Radharani is going with Krishna, Krishna is leading her deeper and deeper into the forest. Initially, she's elated that Krishna is going with me alone. She feels overwhelmed that, oh, Krishna has selected me for this special attention. But then her heart turns towards others. She starts thinking that what will be the plight of my Sakhis, of Lalita, of Vishakha, of Tungavidya, of Champaklata, of Sudevi, of Rangadevi. They will be shattered by being away from Krishna, by the thought that Krishna has abandoned and rejected them and gone away. And how can I be happy when my dearest friends are so unhappy? This is what is the summit of selflessness. Radharani could have said, not that I told Krishna come with me. Krishna chose to go with me. If Krishna turned away from them, Krishna is God, it is Krishna's choice, and they must have done something because of which Krishna turned away from them. Why should I care? That's between them and Krishna. But Radharani does not do that. This is the level of our expanded consciousness. So in the yoga tradition, the idea is our consciousness expands till it reaches the ultimate reality, and then we become immersed in the ultimate reality. That is the yoga tradition. But the bhakti yoga tradition takes it further. As our consciousness expands from self-centeredness toward bigger and bigger reality, still reaches Krishna. But then when our consciousness reaches Krishna, it doesn't stop. It's like our consciousness reaches Krishna, and then with Krishna in our consciousness comes back to the world and then embraces the whole world. That is considered to be the most evolved form of consciousness. Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. Prabhupada's heart was always in Vrindavan, and he was physically in Vrindavan. And at that time, people of his age who were way past 50 or 60, they would go to Vrindavan primarily to retire. And Prabhupada was repeatedly leaving Vrindavan, going to Vrindavan, leaving Vrindavan, going to Vrindavan, leaving Vrindavan. And finally, Prabhupada left Vrindavan to come to America. However, that is only an external vision. Prabhupada didn't leave Vrindavan to go to America. Prabhupada took Vrindavan in his heart and went to America. Now, we can take a pure devotee out of the dham, but we cannot take the dham out of the pure devotee. You can take a pure devotee out of the dham, but you can't take the dham and a lot of the dham out of their heart, out of the pure devotee. So wherever Prabhupada went, he manifested Vrindavan. So that is, Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and he was relishing the remembrance of Krishna, the absorption in Krishna. That's what his heart longed for. When Prabhupada was in college, his biggest dream, when most of us in college, our dream is we want to see maybe some Disneyland, something like that. We want to go to some amusement park, some adventure sports. But Prabhupada's dream was, when can I get enough money to buy the train ticket to go to Jagannath Puri and see Lord Jagannath? That is Prabhupada. Prabhupada longed to be in the dham. But his consciousness didn't just expand to reach the Lord. From the Lord, it reached the world again. And Prabhupada was concerned about all the souls in the world who are bereft of Krishna consciousness, whose shrunk consciousness is causing suffering to them and is causing suffering to others. Prabhupada wanted to reach out to them. So Prabhupada may not have talked much about Radharani, but he embodied the mood of Srimati Radharani. He embodied her mood through his service attitude. Not just caring for Krishna, but caring for everyone in relationship with Krishna. And then what happened? Srimati Radharani, as she was thinking about her Sakhis, they must be shattered in the absence of Krishna. So what to do? Krishna was taking her along, so she came up with various excuses. Krishna, that flower is so beautiful. Can you get that flower for me? Now the Vrindavan forest was filled with many beautiful flowers. But Radharani deliberately pointed to a flower which was high up. And what would happen is Krishna would have to jump up to try to reach that flower. And in getting that flower, what would happen is their movement into the forest would be delayed. And if that movement in the forest would be delayed, the chance of the other Sakhis finding them would increase. And Krishna would reach out and give the flower to Radha, and Radha said, can you put it in my hair? And you put it, and put the hair in her head. And then they kept moving forward. And then Radharani again, hey, Krishna, do you see how beautiful this sight is? Look at the moon, how beautiful it is. Can you just stop and look at the moon? And this way, she was making various excuses. And one time she said, Krishna, that flower, it's so nice. Can you get it? Now, there was no way even Krishna could jump and reach that flower. So Krishna is God, but Krishna does not manifest his godhood usually during intimate pastimes. Sometimes he manifests, but most of the time, it just acts like a normal human being. So then finally Krishna told Radharani that, okay, I can't reach it. I'll do one thing. I'll lift you up and you can reach up and you can take the floor. And he lifted Radharani up, and Radharani was trying to reach. She was deliberately taking a long time to reach. I can't reach. Can you lift me up a little more? Can you lift me up a little more? Now, at one level, this is a very intimate pastime, but at another level, it is also reflecting Radharani's love, not just love between Radha and Krishna, but it is all Radharani's concern for her Sakhis. And now what happens is, the Bhagavatam tells this story not directly, but through the lens of the Sakhis. When the Sakhis, they see that, and all the other gopis say, oh, Krishna has disappeared. Where has he gone? Then they become like transcendental detectives going on a treasure hunt. And then for them, the treasure is Krishna. And all along when they're going, they're looking at the footsteps. Oh, there is Krishna's footstep here, Radharani's footsteps here. There's a male footstep, there's a female footstep. And as they keep moving forward, hey, what happened over here? There's one footstep is very deep. Oh, that means Krishna must have been rising up. That's why his heels are not there, but his front of the legs are very deep. And here is only one footstep. And oh, here Krishna must have picked up this gopi. And what were they doing? Oh, they were picking up a flower. So what happens is the Bhagavatam tells this narrative from this perspective. And then as they go on and on, throughout, Radharani is coming up with various excuses. And still Krishna just keeps moving forward. And then finally Radharani says, what to do now? Things. And she says, Krishna, I'm feeling very tired. Can we just sit for some time? No, she said, Krishna, I'm feeling very tired. I cannot walk anymore. She doesn't say, can we sit? I cannot walk anymore. And Krishna apparently becomes angry. And he speaks in a very stern voice. Because this is a forest, I cannot get a palanquin for you, although you are a queen. Therefore, you can climb on my back and I'll carry you. And he's speaking this, but he's speaking in such an angry tone. Radharani is looking here, there. She's looking to see, are any of the Sakhis coming? How long do I have to keep Krishna waiting? So when she hears Krishna's voice, she turns around. She's shocked to hear the sternness, the anger in Krishna's voice. And she looks around and she says, Krishna has disappeared. And then she understands what has happened. Oh, yes, Krishna thought that I was taking his association for granted. And that's why Krishna got angry with him. And Krishna went away. And she's shattered. And now, actually what happens is, she goes mad. There is ordinary madness and there is divine madness. Divine madness is called as Divya Unmad. Now, if you consider that this is our ordinary reality that we experience. And when somebody goes mad, they become disconnected with the ordinary reality and just go into their mental world, into their imagination. So somebody who's mad, somebody who's gone mad, they may hear voices although there's nobody around them. They may start talking with somebody when there's nobody there next to them for them to talk with. So basically, normally we talk about somebody who has become unhinged, that their perceptions and actions have no connection with reality. That's when we say that that person has gone mad. So there is ordinary madness, but then there is divine madness. So when a person becomes disconnected from ordinary reality, that is ordinary madness, from daily reality. But when somebody becomes disconnected from ordinary reality, but they become connected with a higher reality, that is divine madness. And Radharani starts exhibiting this divine madness. So, let me illustrate this divine madness. If you consider that this is physical reality. So in our day-to-day reality, there are cars and buildings and people and our workplace and so on. This is physical world. Now that is where we perceive and we act. Our perceptions go in the direction. We perceive outward, we perceive inwards, and we act outwards. That's what normally happens. But now, what happens is when somebody is becoming a little imbalanced, unhinged, their connection with the physical world becomes thinner. That's why you see these thinner arrows. And their connection with their own imaginary world, where they're imagining, that becomes too strong. So here somebody might imagine that there are flying horses, there are all kinds of imaginary objects. So when a person's connection with the physical world diminishes and they'll get lost in their head, that's the beginning of madness. But this is ordinary madness. In contrast with that, there is spiritual madness or divine madness. And divine madness is what? Mahaprabhu exhibited that madness. Radharani exhibits that madness. So what is that? A person may still have some connection with the physical world. They may still have capacity for imagination, but their connection with the spiritual reality, where they are communicating with Krishna, they become absorbed in Krishna and they become disconnected from the world. That is divine madness. And Radharani starts exhibiting this divine madness. How? What happens is, although Krishna has disappeared, and if we had stumbled into the forest of Vrindavan at that time, we would see Radharani all alone. this divinely beautiful goddess standing alone, and it's almost like she's talking to the wind, or talking to the trees, or talking to the sky, talking to the night sky. There's nobody there. Whom are you talking with? But what happens is Radharani sees Krishna there, and although Krishna has gone, she sees Krishna and she's desperately beseeching Krishna, please come back. Please come back. He says, Krishna, please don't leave me and go away. So, Kavi Karanapur in Anand Vrindavan Champu describes this whole conversation. So Radharani is like, Krishna, please don't leave me and go away. And Krishna says, sternly, I don't like anyone who becomes proud. Even if you are a great devotee, I don't tolerate pride. Yes. Krishna, but I had not become proud. I was only concerned about my Sakhis. You had left them and they would be heartbroken. Krishna said, no, I chose you. I wanted to be with you. Why are you concerned about them? Why are you not concerned about me? I'm concerned about you, Krishna, but they love you. I was concerned about them because you care for them and they care for you also. So Krishna says, no, I don't like it when my devotees disrupt my plans. Says, Krishna, please come back. I'll be with you. I'll do whatever you tell me. Radharani says, Krishna says, it's too late now. I'm going. Krishna, please don't leave me. I'm all alone in this forest. I'm in this forest, in this dark. How will I be with you, without you? Krishna says, the Sakhis you care for so much, they are also in the dark. They are also in the forest. Just as they are well, you'll also be well. And Krishna says, Radharani says, but no, Krishna, they at least have each other. I am completely alone. It is you who brought me here alone, and how can you abandon me now? And Krishna is very stern. He says, everyone has to pay the consequences of their actions. And then, when Radharani hears the finality in Krishna's words, she senses Krishna is gone. And Krishna goes, it's almost like life goes out of her body. And she faints. She swoons over there. So what's happening here is that, actually speaking at such a time, the human body has the capacity to experience a certain amount of pain. If the pain becomes too much, if somebody's in a terrible accident, then what happens is, if the pain is too much, you become unconscious. There's bodily injury, but the bodily injury is already there. But our capacity to tolerate pain is limited. And when the pain seems to be going beyond our threshold capacity to tolerate, then the defense mechanism is to just turn off our consciousness. And this can happen because of physical pain. This can also happen because of emotional pain. So Kavi Karanapur describes that actually Radharani would have died over there. But it is, he says, Murcha Devi. Murcha Devi is actually, in Vrindavan, everything is personal. So Murcha Devi is the goddess of fainting. So the goddess of fainting comes over there and she embraces Radharani. And because of her embrace, Radharani, she doesn't pass away. She faints. She doesn't pass away. She passes out. She faints. And then she's just lying on the ground, shattered. And all the gopis are searching. And they're searching. And after some time, they stumble on her. And when they see she's lying over the rock, so shattered and alone. Initially, they're feeling, why did Krishna leave all of us to go with her alone? They know this gopi must be someone special, that Krishna loves her so much. That's why they've gone. Krishna must have gone with her. But still they feel a little bad. Why did Krishna leave us? But then when they see, oh, this gopi, Krishna has left her also and gone away, then immediately the empathy in their heart comes up. That how much great must have been her pain, her agony. Krishna has gone away from us, but none of us have fainted. Krishna has left her and she has fainted. So great must be her agony. And so great is her agony, that means so great must be her love. And immediately Lata Vishaka, they look for a kund nearby, they get some water, and they sprinkle water on Radharani's face, and they bring her back to consciousness. And when they bring her back to consciousness, at that time, they talk. Radharani she's so broken-hearted, she can't even speak. But somehow in broken words, she tells what has happened. And all the gopis become resolute. We have to find Krishna. And they all start searching for Krishna. They search. They go deep into the forest in searching for Krishna. But they cannot find Krishna. And this is symbolic. We humans, even if we have a longing for transcendence, longing to know the ultimate reality, longing to know the divine, we cannot know the divine by our own effort. We can perceive the existence of the divine. That God exists, we can make a rational argument for God. But the nature of God, that God is a bluish black cowherd boy who plays a flute and wears a peacock feather, that we cannot arrive at by any reasoning. For that, rational theology is not enough. We need revelational theology. It is only by God's revelation that we can find him in his fullness. So the gopis are searching frantically for Krishna, but they can't find him. And then they all decided, we can't find Krishna by searching. So they come back. They come back to the place where they have had the deepest experiences with Krishna. Rahasi samvido yarudi sprushaha rahasitam priya prema vikshanam viharanam chate dhyana mangalam rahasi samvido yarudi sprushaha kuha kuno manaha shobhayanti. So they come to the banks of the Jamuna, where Krishna has smiled sweetly at them. Krishna has cast sidelong glances at them. Krishna has revealed his heart and confidence to them. They've had the most intimate exchanges of love with Krishna. And there, with their hearts and minds infused with deep remembrance of Krishna, they sit down in a circle. And all the gopis are sitting in a circle and they're envisioning that Krishna is in the middle of that circle. And they all start offering prayers to Krishna. And that prayer is the Gopi Gita, the 31st chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is described as Gopyaha Uchuhu. So Gopyaha and Uchuhu, both are plural words. So now what does this mean? Is it that all this Gopi Gita is some song which all the gopis have memorized before and all of them are reciting it in chorus? No, not at all. They are composing it at that moment. Their devotion is expressing itself in exquisite poetry. And each verse, Jiva Goswami explains in the Gopal Champu that each verse in the Gopi Gita is composed by one gopi. And he explains which gopi it is. However, when each gopi is speaking, she is both speaking her heart as an individual and she is expressing the heart of the entire group as a representative of that group. So there is individuality and unity in bhakti. Sometimes we say unity in diversity, but you could say individuality and unity, both are demonstrated over here. Unity in diversity and diversity in unity. All the gopis are praying to Krishna and all their prayers are basically, Krishna, please come back, please come back, please come back. They're using different arguments to reason with Krishna. Please come back, please come back. So the prayer is one. In that sense, there is unity in diversity. But at the same time, there is also diversity in unity. One prayer, but each prayer is coming from, but there's one request, but each request is coming from different hearts. Each of those requests are coming from each individual heart. made the call, impassioned call from a different perspective. And finally, as the gopis complete their prayer, they're sitting in a circle, they're envisioning as if Krishna is there. And then at the end of their prayers, Krishna actually appears. Krishna appears and reveals himself. So this is actually an amazing pastime at many levels. So Radharani's love is revealed over here, but Radharani does not delight. She's undoubtedly the greatest devotee, but she does not delight in one-upsmanship. See, I'm the greatest devotee and everybody should know I'm the greatest devotee. No. The greatness of her devotion is that even when Krishna selects her, she is concerned about other devotees. And eventually Krishna comes back and Krishna says to all the gopis that you have conquered my heart, that you have rendered such service that I can never repay you. So bhakti is both an individual activity and a collective activity. And Radharani, by her example, demonstrates that. Krishna is pleased when we remember him exclusively. We focus our heart on remembering him. But Krishna is also pleased when we are concerned about the other devotees. We seek their welfare. We try to serve them. And in this combination of expanding our consciousness toward Krishna and expanding our consciousness toward other devotees, in both of these, through both of these, we can actually become more and more Krishna conscious. So we could say extending our consciousness toward Krishna directly is reclusive bhakti. Reclusive bhakti means we turn away from the world to turn toward Krishna, to focus directly on Krishna. But bhakti is not just reclusive, it is also inclusive. Where we include the world, we include other devotees, include not just other present devotees, but other potential devotees also. And we try to connect them with Krishna. We try to provide them an opportunity to raise their consciousness. That was Srila Prabhupada's mood. Srila Prabhupada could immerse himself in his bhajan. When Prabhupada would sing Vaishnava bhajans, he would just get transported to another world. Prabhupada would do kirtans, sometimes close his eyes and just absorb himself. Prabhupada could do that. But Prabhupada would then open his eyes wide and then he would pay attention to who was there and he would share Krishna's love with them, offer prayers on their behalf for Krishna. One time in Australia, one woman asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, can you pray for me? And Prabhupada replied, I'm always praying for you. Otherwise, what reason would I have to travel so far all over the world? So Prabhupada Prabhupada's Krishna consciousness was both reclusive and inclusive. And that Prabhupada was manifesting Radharani's mood. And we can pray to both Srimati Radharani and to Srila Prabhupada to give us mercy by which we all can raise and expand our consciousness so that our consciousness reaches Krishna and our consciousness reaches others in a mood of service to Krishna, drawing them closer to Krishna and thereby drawing ourselves closer to Krishna. So I'll summarize. I spoke 3 main points today. First, I talked about how Bhakti tradition has a very inclusive theology. That God is not just male, but both male and female. But it is a spiritual theology. So we need to understand that we are neither male or female because we are spiritual beings. And then within that, talked about how within the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, Radharani is central. Prabhupada was very reverential because Radharani's dealings with Krishna could be easily misunderstood as mundane or as even immoral. So Prabhupada that's why he used Srimati Radharani, and he didn't talk much about Radharani. But he introduced us to the whole tradition where there's so much discussion about Radharani. And in that connection, I talked about 2 pastimes of Radharani, or 2 incidents in the same pastime. First is, even when she is with devotees, even when she is with Krishna, she's concerned about others, about her sakhis. So a devotee doesn't want to enjoy Krishna for himself or herself. A devotee wants to share Krishna with everyone else. And Krishna left her also. She went to a state of divine madness and discussed how that is different from ordinary madness. Ordinary madness is where we just become disconnected from physical reality and go into imagination. Whereas in divine madness, we get disconnected from physical reality, but we get connected with higher reality, with ultimate reality. And then finally, there's the Gopi Gita, in which Radharani is central, but she does not take a central position. She actually embodies with all the gopis unity in diversity and diversity in unity. And Srila Prabhupada had that similar mood of Radharani, not just absorption in the Lord, but absorption and compassion for all living beings. And with that, he attracted millions of people toward Krishna. And we can also pray for Radharani's mercy and Prabhupada's mercy. Thank you very much. Radhastami Mahamahotsav ki jai.
Yeah.
Ki jai.
Yeah.
Gaur
Hare Krishna.
ki jai.
Yeah.
Gaur
Thank you so
Premanand.
much, Charan Prabhu, for this wonderful class. We want to express on behalf of Hare Krishna Africa platform a deep appreciation for honoring our invitation to come and give us this wonderful sharing on this day. We know your busy schedules, and we know that you have next engagement in the short time, but I don't know if it is not going to be too inconvenient. Can you give like 10 minutes so that maybe Devotee will have to ask 1 or 2 questions?
Just maybe one question through. I had to leave for a program immediately. I'm sorry about that. One
Okay.
question you can take if there is a question.
Okay. Who's going to be the person to have the questions? Sadhu Prabhu?
Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And Sri Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, I think we may have to let you go, and then we'll ask you a question next time because you are very busy. The question may take different turns. But we really appreciate your presence here and the love and guidance given to us. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much for this opportunity to speak, and
Hare Krishna.
wish you all a very happy Radhastami. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Govinda ki jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai.
Jai.
Radhastami Mahamahotsav ki jai. Thank you.
Great Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, thank you so much for participating and staying back. We appreciate you for being on this class. In the lineup of this program, we have 3 major speakers. His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj with such very beautiful narrations and sharing from Maharaj. And then we just heard from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. And we have our 3rd speaker here is Grace Advaita Krishna Prabhu. But before we hear from him, they said all works are no play makes it dull boy, right? So, but this is a transcendental play. And just like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was telling us, there is 2 types of madness, this lower madness and the higher madness. So here we're going to have a transcendental play. We have among us a wonderful devotee, Somya Aya. She's going to be giving us a little few minutes of poem and maybe a song. Somya Aya is founder. Let me just give a little background of what she is. She's so we can go to our website. Maybe what I will do is, in order to take time, I'll put our website in the chat room while she speaks so that we can maximize the timing. She's a yoga teacher. She's a dancer. She recites a lot of devotional poems. So I'll put her site, and she's a peace worker also. So I'll put a site in the chat room for some of us who want to know a little more about her. So at this moment, we will call on Somya Aya to please kindly give us a presentation. Hare Krishna.
Jai Radhe. Parashakti Param Jyoti Parat Pare Radhe Devi Parashakti Param Jyoti Parat Pare Radhe Devi Parashakti Radhe. Slightly different interpretation. I give you a poem which I've penned upon my own contemplation of who Radha is to me and who she is to this modern day. I am Radha. She is whole. In her wholeness, she gives of herself more and more, uplifting herself, her friends, and the world, knowing her truth to be a goddess of goodness and of greatness, of luxury and love, of beauty and auspiciousness. In a field of flowers blooming against the mountains, she whirls and twirls, her skirt of peacock colors unfurls. She dances to the sounds of her mother who surrounds her, envelops her in the warmth of her arms, delighted to have a precious daughter, darling that she is. The wind whistling through the leaves of holy people trees, tinkling like chiming bells, the deer rustling in the sand to find shelter in the cool, drizzling rains, the elephant trumpeting upon excitement from finding a filled lake to bathe itself. The gushing sounds of the water falling from the heights of the mountains, canceling out the noises of the world, rushing like a river, gurgling with bubbly excitement, like a baby who discovers her capacity to emulate her mother's movements, running over rocks and stones and pebbles, the parrots, the peacocks, warblers, and magpies singing sweetly to seduce a spouse. Gathering her girls, beautiful bells of Vrindavan, verily embodiments of her own self, she pushes and prods them to excel, encourages them to uncover their talents. One, a master in makeup. Another, a great games woman and a green-thumbed gardener. Others are culinary experts, artists, and musicians, engineers of events, doctors of their times and spaces. Joining together in the world of women, they dress to the nines in silks and satins, bright hues of purples and pinks, yellows, greens, and blues, with flowers dangling from their dark, sultry curls and wrists adorned with colorful glass bangles, tinkling together to make melodious music, gently affixing shimmery pile with tiny bells to their feet. On the banks of the river under a banyan tree, they perform the dance of life. Surrounding her with their gifts, elevating her to heights taller than the mountains and even above the sky, knowing that by raising her, they have lost nothing, and rather gained everything they need to succeed. This is all by her design, and through this, she attracts her lover, her love, with her modesty, simplicity, her femininity, and spirituality, ever devoted to her beauty, which comes from deep within, so that she can uplift him, support him, strengthen him. Her guidance gives him courage to take on the world, battle his demons, and wipe out the darkness to bring light to her life and to all. She is his sun, showering light into the depths of his soul. She is his moon, cooling his fiery anger. She is the stars, the sky, the earth, the air, the water, and the ether. His desire to be with her is infinite, questioning what he can offer her. The woman who is whole in her eternal and elemental nature. He runs afar to become a great man to match her energy, she who is the divine goddess mother herself. I am she, calling out to my girlfriends across the world, inviting you to dance and sing, laugh and play, find support and strength from one another to develop into your fullest potential. I learn from you, and my beauty grows with knowledge and support from each of the bells of my life. I ask you to be all that a woman should be, whole. Please join me in a short bhajan. It was lead and repeat, but excuse me if I get caught up in the song and forget to repeat. This is a song about Radha, and it is in Hindi. Bhandhe payaliya, bhandhe payaliya, bhandhe payaliya, bhandhe payaliya, Radha ai, bhandhe payaliya, Radha ai, bhandhe payaliya, Radha ai, bhandhe payaliya, Radha ai, नाच संग संग कृष्ण कन्हाई, नाच संग संग कृष्ण कन्हाई, गोपी रास रचाई, गोपी रास रचाई, गोपी रास रचाई। कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण, कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण, कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे राधे, कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे राधे, कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे राधे, राधे राधे राधे, राधे 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 राधे, बांधे पायलिया राधा आई, बांधे पायलिया, बांधे पायलिया, बांधे पायलिया, राधा आई। Jai Radhe.
Jai Shri Radhe. Thank you so much. Soya, that's a very wonderful, beautiful one. I'm sure the devotees love it because I can see from the face of all of the devotees smiles. So which means that I think the way I enjoy this, each and everyone love it. Thank you very much, Sadhu, for acknowledging. Thank you so much. This is very beautiful. We're grateful. So if some of us wants to have a share of the poem, maybe later I can share that also in the chat room. But that's a beautiful composition. Thank you, Sonia.
Do I put it in the chat or you would like it
Yeah,
in the chat?
Yeah, we can put it in the chat. So for others who would like to have this. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mother Sonia. So at this point, we're going to call on our third speaker for the day. His Grace Advaita Krishna Prabhu. Advaita Krishna Prabhu is not new to most of us on this platform, but for those of us who doesn't know him, he is based in Mauritius. He's one of the foremost senior disciples of second generation devotees who are served in several places in the world of Srila Prabhupada, from Europe to US to Africa. Yes, assisted our Gurudev so much in this part of the region, and we all know how much he has contributed. So we are happy to have you, Advaita Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. So the microphone is turned to you now. You can unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to try to glorify Srimati Radharani, which is by no means an easy task for anyone in this world, except for stalwarts like Srila Prabhupada and the few devotees. So I bow down to the lotus feet of my own spiritual master and to my Param Gurudev Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shannavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Radha-Krishna Mahamotsav ki jai. So, when Krishna wanted to taste rasa, and he wanted to expand his enjoyment, then it is explained that he became two. Eko Bahushan. From one comes many. But sometimes we think, well, Srimati Radharani is as eternal as Krishna. But these kathas are for us conditioned souls to try to understand the tattva behind Srimati Radharani. And I also read that there's so many different explanations of the appearance of Srimati Radharani, and some differs from the other. The simple reason is that Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, they come to this bhuloka, or to different parts of the material creation, different times, and also in different kalpas. But we are particularly interested when actually Lord Chaitanya appeared, and prior to that, Lord Sri Krishna appeared, practically within that period of Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. And the appearance of Krishna is very significant in this Dwapar Yuga, because Lord Sri Krishna, he appeared right at the end of the Dwapar Yuga. Of the 840,000 years or 864,000 years of the Dwapar Yuga, Lord Krishna appeared right at the very end, 125 years. And his main emphasis was actually to do his pastime so that his devotees in Kali Yuga will actually take advantage of his pastimes. And in the 9th canto, 24th chapter, and text 61, he says so. Kalo janisyamananam sukadukataponudham anugrahaya bhaktanam supunyam yatanot yathat. That I'm performing my pastime so that my future devotees in the age of Kali will know and understand about me. So Srila Prabhupada, every time he talks about, he gives a lecture on Radhastami, he talks so extensively. Srila Prabhupada talks so extensively about Sri Krishna. Because our beloved, our most important possession is actually Sri Krishna. And we are all very rich sons of the richest person the most fortunate sons and daughters of the most fortunate family of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And he is our mother and he is our father. But to expand our understanding and to give us this taste, when Krishna expanded into Srimati Radharani, and you cannot ask that question when, it's always been like that. Srimati Radharani, she expresses or presents the Haladini Shakti. Halada means to give pleasure, to give joy. And Srimati Radharani, she expresses that extreme potency of giving joy to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. You may have heard about that already. But the very fact that Sri Krishna expands in so many millions and millions of forms, some of these forms his own, from his own swabhava, from his own swayama, roop, from his own natural energy, but he also expands some millions of and billions of small expansions called the Vibhina Shakti. We are all separated parts and parcel of Sri Krishna. But in all of these personalities, actually Srimati Radharani infuses what we call the Haladini Shakti. And she infuses that Haladini Shakti, the pleasure, potency, the joy, is because she wanted to furthermore expand the joy of Krishna, the pleasure of Krishna, so that we all can also love Krishna and give the share of love that he deserves as our topmost benefactor. So all the jivas, we are duty bound, first to be happy ourselves by being Krishna conscious, by experiencing that joy that Srimati Radharani shares with us, and also sharing that joy to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So how do we understand, how do we actually factually understand this, that Krishna, he doesn't really need us, but he does want us because he wanted to expand both his joy and his pleasure, and he wanted us to be attracted to him through this joy. So Srimati Radharani is so, so important to all of us. So there's no better way of understanding this than in the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Like one cannot taste one's own sweetness. One cannot taste one's own rasa and one's own good qualities. That would be inappropriate. But one can taste someone else, our own sweetness through someone else, by the appreciation they show us, by the expression of love they show us. We can kind of get an idea of our own sweetness. But Krishna being Atmarama, he always tasted his own sweetness. But Srimati Radharani comes and actually give him the incredible joy of being with her. And to the point that Krishna, the person who attracts the whole universe, who attracts the whole world, Prabhupada explains so clearly that actually that person, that Krishna, is attracted to Srimati Radharani. So we can understand her supreme position in our bhakti tradition. And therefore she is called Madan Mohan Mohini. She is Rasarani. She is giving the most incredible expressions of joy to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. But that rasa of the highest bhakti, Unatta Jala Rasam Sabhakti Shriyam, is being made available to even the conditioned souls on the streets of Kali Yuga by the most merciful Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he's appeared in this Panchatattva. He's appeared as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He's appeared as Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit. And by appearing in such a way, we can actually understand that he has appeared to taste the nectar and to distribute the nectar of love of Krishna that is so much exemplified in the personality of Srimati Radharani. So the Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in the text in Adi Lila how Lord Krishna he appears. There is the five truths, but also there is a spiritual master. And with the spiritual master and Nityananda being almost one, then you can have six truths. So we offer our respectful obeisances to the spiritual master, to the devotees of the Lord, to the Lord's incarnations, to his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the reason we do that is because they are all distributing the same message of Lord Chaitanya, same message of Lord Krishna, which Krishna wanted out of his mercy to give to us in this age of Kali through his appearance as Lord Chaitanya. And we often hear it's very rare that both of them appear one after the other. Lord Krishna appears, and then right at the end of the age of Dwapar, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in this age of Kali. And then he gives us this incredible message that we are all part and parcel of Krishna, and we have inside us the potency to love Krishna and to give that pleasure, that joy to Krishna, by which we can be redeemed back to the spiritual world. So this, but that was never given before. Anarpita charim chirat karunaya vatirna khalo samarpayutum unatta jala rasam sabhaktim shriyam hari purata sundara dviti kandava sandipani sadaride khandaris puratavasa chidananda. That was never given so easily before. This unatta jala rasam sabhakti shriyam is given freely to people without consideration of quality, place, time, circumstances. It's given to all of us. And when we see that being distributed, the start of that was on Shiva Sangan. So we can draw a parallel that the highest joy of the Sunatta Jala Rasam Sabhakti Shriyam is expressed in actually the Rasa Sthali, in the Rasa dance, in the Rasa Lila of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it was being experienced in Shiva's Angan, in the Sankirtan that was done in the home of Shiva's Thakur, or in the yard of Shiva's Thakur. When it came out from the home, it went out to the yard, and then it went out to the streets of Navadvip. So then there was no consideration at that time. There is no confines of rasa. It is now all out in the street. So no consideration of who is qualified, who is not qualified. Patra patra na dekhe, sthana sthana na dekhe. Jai taha pai. No consideration of who is qualified. Patra patra. Patra means recipient, and a patra means not a suitable recipient. Sthana or sthana. Sthana means proper place. Not sthana, not a proper place. Jai taha dekhi. Whoever he meets, Jai taha pai. Says whoever we meet. Taha kare premadhan. He gives the love of God. So there was no consideration of anything. Lord Chaitanya came out on the streets, taking the love of Krishna that is exemplified by our most supreme Srimati Radharani and giving to everyone. So we see that incredible manifestation of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead like that. And we talk practically that this Sankirtan, this preaching, and in the street for people of all ranks of society who are intoxicated by love of God now, people who had no idea who the Supreme Personality of God is being given this mercy by Srimati Radhika, because that is a mood of Lord Chaitanya. He is in the mood of Srimati Radhika to taste the nectar of the love of Krishna and distribute it to the conditioned souls of this age of Kali. So sometimes we see that in our sampradaya, we see that the acharyas, they don't, especially in the beginning. So you see Gopal Bharata Goswami worshipping Shila, and then he was kind of wanting to have the same as the other Goswamis. Then the Shila turned into Ramanji. And then Sanatana Goswami had Madanaji. And most of them were not worshipping Radha together with Krishna, even though that was started by Madhavendra Puri. Even Madhavendra Puri, he put Gopal on the hill of Govardhan, and he went all the way to Malaya Hill to get Chandan and his devotional service explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotional service of Madhavendra Puri. Because the understanding was that whenever the acharyas, they see Krishna, they see Srimati Radharani together with him, but where? In his heart. They see Radharani in the heart of Krishna all the time. That's our philosophy. So Krishna is never without Srimati Radharani. Even when we see him sitting with the cows or sitting with his flute in his beautiful pose, his legs crossed, Srimati Radharani is right there in the heart, and that's how the acharyas, they see him. They see Srimati Radharani and they see her in the heart of Krishna all the time. And she's never far. And in fact, that's his only superlative love. And in the Chaitanya, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we read that when Krishna goes to Dwarka after his pastimes in Hastinapur, then his love for the queens are described to a point. But then it is also said that Krishna, even though he acted like a very wonderful, fond husband and taking care of all the needs of the different ladies whom he was married to, he was never really much attached to them. And actually, when the queens of Dwarka, they often talk, they said, we are queens of Krishna just in name only. At night when he's sleeping, his love, his remembrance of Krishna can be heard. He's mumbling their name and he's crying, his eyes out, pillow is getting wet, and he's always going Radhe, 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 Radhe. And Krishna actually, that is a truth, because he's always after Srimati Radharani, but never after the queen. The different ladies he married, they actually came to him. He never went after them. But he's not as much attracted to them as comparatively he is definitely 100% more attracted by Srimati Radhika, because she is Madana Mohini. Whereas the queens are attracted to him. Rukmini writes a letter to him, come and rescue me. Jambavati was given to him. So his love, his exquisite love for Srimati Radharani tops the balance in so many ways. So Krishna is definitely in the heart of Srimati Radharani, and Radharani is in the heart of Krishna. So she is extremely attracted to him, and he is completely entranced with her beauty, with her love, and that's how the relationship is. So if you take that in our grantha, in our sampradaya, our most important book, Srimad Bhagavatam, you see Krishna is spread out through the pages. Krishna infuses his energies into Srimad Bhagavatam, and so he says to Uddhava, when Uddhava asked him, where are we going to find you, my dear Lord? He said, you're going to find me in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is literally a book representation, a grantha representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So do we find Srimati Radharani there too? Yes, we do. And Shukdev Goswami, who is actually Shuka of Srimati Radharani, and he could not actually stop thinking about Srimati Radharani while speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly in the latter pages. And at one point she wanted to say, but she thought that her audience, because the audience that was there, Parikshit Maharaj was there, he was speaking to him directly, but the audience was a much wider audience. And he wanted to hold himself back from speaking about the intimate love of Srimati Radha and Krishna. So he did not. But at one point it came out. And my own spiritual master, Bhakti Churu Swami Maharaj, he actually made a lecture, beautiful lecture on that point. And he said And I will read that a little bit. And he said to that verse is, it says, Anayaridito nunam Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Yanno Vihaya Govinda Brito Yam Anayad Raha.
What verse is that? Can I share it?
It's no, I don't have the quotation directly right now.
Okay.
I just had it from my mind and I put it on the paper. So, of course, it's in the 10th canto. I'll get it to you. But it starts with Anayaradhito nunam Bhagavan Hari Ishvaraha. And the description is, certainly this particular gopi has perfected the worship of the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, because he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. So even though these purports were not written by Srila Prabhupada, we know that because it is a latter part, because they were done by Srila Prabhupada after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. And a group of devotees, actually, they made the translation. So I'll read a little bit of part of the purport. So it says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word Aradhita refers to Srimati Radharani. The name Radha is there. And he comments, the sage Shukadev Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy. And thus the word Aradhita is like the rumbling of a kettle drum, sounded to announce a great good fortune. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Radhika, they were actually ecstatic to see that she had captured Sri Krishna's heart and that Krishna had gone with her separate. So you can read that actually this mood, as with devotees of Krishna, we never separate Srimati Radharani from Krishna or vice versa. So we may be studying Srimad Bhagavatam, hardly any description except like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu talked about the Gita, the Gopi Gita, and then this one verse explaining how Krishna took Radharani because he had exclusively, there is 10:38, there. So that is so supremely beautiful. So Krishna is all attractive and he attracts Srimati Radharani. There's no two way about it. Her love was always in this mode of parakiya bhav. Just explain a little bit about why this parakiya bhav is explained. Parakiya bhav means that everything is a little bit on the edge. Because everyone thinks that Krishna belongs to someone else, but I'm having him now. So Jashoda Maya, she thinks, well, Devaki is really her son. Her mother, sorry. And he might go anytime. And therefore, this mood of being someone else pervades the feeling of the devotees. And this parakiya, that's not mine, theirs, but I'm having him now. So it makes the having him always so sweeter, always so sweet. And even though she was the most beloved of Krishna, she was being blamed. There's a beautiful pastimes, and I will just say this pastime so that because you've had too many lectures today. This one beautiful pastimes where at one point she was being blamed and her name was being sullied in Braj because of Krishna. So she was called Krishna Kalankini. Oh, you get the bad name because of your association with Krishna. And then she was very upset about this, and she wanted to express her feelings to Krishna. And she said, this is so unfair. This is so unfair. The yogis worship you, great devotees worship you, Mahadev worship you, Lord Brahma worships you, and they're glorified for their worship. And none of them love you as much as I love you, but I'm being blamed. What is this? I cannot accept this. I cannot live with this. Especially I'm a woman. I'm living in Braj here, and everyone calls me this name. So either something has to be done to put an end to this, or I'm going to give up my life. No way I can live with this. I cannot be called. And this rumor was being propelled. Because why? Because this is Parakiyaras. Like putting everything on the edge. So maybe I will be stopped from seeing Krishna, or maybe Krishna has to stop from seeing me. This is the mood, the rasa. And when you see the introduction of Jatila and Kutila and the pastimes, they actually are like the nemesis, those who want to stop this. So therefore, by the idea of, oh, I might not have that love again. And Krishna might not experience me, my presence, my love, my affection, my seva, my service, my association, then it makes it ever so more sort of exciting, the possibility of losing. This is mood of parakiya. So then Krishna said, but why are you so upset about this? You know I love you so much. He said, yes, but it's not fair. Others who love you, they get glorified, and I love you so much and I'm not glorified. So he said, not that I want that glory, but why do I want my name and so much infamy? Please remove this. So then Krishna does a pastime, and next morning he doesn't wake up. And Krishna is actually almost fully, unconscious, and she can't get up from the bed. And then in that Gokul, that time, there was a great doctor that was coming, and that great doctor had book, and he had medicines, he had everything, that he was going hither and thither, and he was hoping that, whatever disease they are, I'm going to cure people. And he had a little bit of a reputation. But then in the morning, when actually Krishna could not get up and he was unconscious, then Jashoda Maiya was beyond, repair. She was completely in distress. The news went out to Nanda Maharaj, who had already left home in the morning, that Krishna is not well. He's not able to get up, and his fever and his sickness, no one can understand what's happening. So then everyone wanted to pacify Jashoda Maiya, and Nanda Maharaj came, and he was like completely losing his head. My Krishna is, is not in a good state. And then he went out, and then looking for this doctor, found this doctor. So this doctor finally came, and he was a bright doctor, and he looked like he was really an incredible Vaidya, totally qualified, and he looked so interesting that now finally we got someone. And then the doctor came, and the doctor said, okay. He said, I can cure the sickness. I can see. And he checked everything. He checked his astrology book. He checked the whole thing. And then he says, yeah, but this cure of his unconsciousness can only be cured. But with this recipe that I have here, it requires a kind of a medium, an anusandhan, an anupan. And that medium is that I have to get water from the Jamuna. He said, no problem, no problem. We can get the water from the Jamuna. He said, no, not so easy. He said, that water from the Jamuna can only be brought by someone who can bring the water in a vessel, in a pot, but that pot has to have 1,000 holes. And that water can only be brought here by the most chaste person around here. I said, oh. He said, how come? Then the news went out that, okay, we're going to have to bring this water for Krishna and make sure that, the doctor prepares this medicine with that water, and then he can be cured. So everyone was, and of course, Srimati Radharani heard the news, but she was just hiding away because of the blame being put on her, that because she is Krishna Kalankini and so on and so forth, and this was going on. And then so many different ladies, they came forward, said, yeah, we can do it. I'm okay with that, no problem. And then they went, each one of them went to the Jamuna and tried to bring the pot with 1,000 holes containing water. And one after the other, they failed. And they were like, their reputation was being ruined, because they were thinking, oh, well, our lack of chastity was coming out. So what was that lack of chastity? We'll come to that in a minute. But then the two Radharani's nemesis, so to speak, they were coming forward. Jatila came forward, the daughter-in-law, and said, I can do that, no problem. I'm chaste, I don't have any problem. I don't have any issues. So she went out with a pot in the Jamuna and she just almost drowned. Then they had to pick her up, dust her up together, dry her up and put her there. I said, okay. And then the mother-in-law came and the mother-in-law said, if my chastity has to be questioned, I'll end my life here. So then she went in and she had the same fate, almost drowned. They had to pick her up. And then so many other devotees tried. And then Jashoda, being now beside herself, she said, I can go. I can bring this important ingredient because no one can doubt my chastity to my husband. I'm 100% faithful. And the doctor said, well, hold on, I have one thing I forgot. The mother of the patient cannot bring that water. So then that became a little bit more difficult. Now the situation is more difficult. So then finally, they went back to the doctor. He said, you must be knowing something that we don't know. Tell us. So the doctor looked back again, and he made his calculation, did everything. And he said, there is one person, her name is Radha. She could bring that water. And then everyone's thinking, huh? No, this whole blame game is on her. No way she can actually do that. Then said, well, no loss, we'll try. Then she came. And she came with her sakhis, with her friends. And then she went to the Jamuna. And while she went to the Jamuna, shaking and trembling, but she had full faith also. And while she went to the Jamuna, then she saw Krishna in the water, smiling at her. And she said, go on, you can. And therefore he encouraged her, and she put the pot in the water. And then she picked up the pot. And somehow all the 1,000 holes of the pot were blocked by Krishna's expanding into 1,000 fingers and plugging the holes in a mysterious way. And then she brought the pot out and asked her Sakhis, is it okay? Can I move on? And she was being shy, full of lajja. Srimati Radharani has shyness as her most beautiful decoration. Shyness because she only has love for Krishna in her heart, no one else. So then she asked her Sakhi, is this okay? And then she said, yes, not a drop coming out. Then she takes the pot of water and give it to the Vaid. And lo and behold, then the medicine is prepared. And then Krishna is given that medicine and he said, fine. And he wakes up, I'm fine. So her chastity is proven because Krishna, she was the expansion of Krishna solely and exclusively for the pleasure of Shri Krishna. And Srimati Radharani only knows Shri Krishna in her heart. And therefore that love of Krishna that she has is unquestionably the purest love that ever exists anywhere. And if it exists in Goloka, the purest of all pure places, then definitely that love of Krishna is the purest in her heart. So who can understand Srimati Radharani? Unfortunately, she's being presented in so many unsavory ways, but she's a chaste, the most chaste, the supremely most chaste lady who only loves our beloved Sri Krishna. And she wants everyone else to love him. And therefore she expands her Haladini Shakti into our heart and gives us this joy as soon as we start to chant the holy name, combined with her name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. She gives us a joy that pushes towards loving Krishna and sharing our love to Krishna. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is complete. But because he's expanded himself into all of us and we have drawn away from him, he's saddened to see us not experiencing the joy that Radharani has shared with us. And he wants us to experience that joy. So unless Krishna has all the jivas fully loving him, he will remain incomplete in rasa. And he wants us to love him. That's why, because his desire is so supremely powerful, his desire to have us all love Krishna is the very reason he creates this world and gives us an opportunity to redeem ourselves. And this is a reason he expands into Panchatattva. This is the reason he comes as Lord Chaitanya. This is the reason he comes as Guru, to give us the taste, the opportunity, the practice, the principles of trying to develop this pure love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is nothing more sublime than the love of Srimati Radharani has for Krishna. This is the purest of the purest of the purest of pure things that exist. And Krishna has no one else in his heart. As a matter of duty, he loves the queens of Dwarka. But as a matter of love, he only has love for Srimati Radharani. And it is her that gives us the love that we can express for Krishna, because Krishna only cares for her, but she cares for Krishna. She wants to expand this. Samarpayitum manutta jalarasam sabhakti shriyam, he wants to expand it. Sundara Dviti Kadamba, he wants to expand it so that everyone can experience it, so Krishna can experience more love. So that kind of purity of love, where she is expanding the love for the pleasure of her beloved Sri Krishna, that is our Srimati Radharani today. And we pray at her lotus feet that, Mother, your very being is to redeem us. Your very being is that you accompany Krishna in everything, so that you give the mercy. So Hare, Hara, dear Srimati Radharani engages in the service of Sri Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to glorify our Divine Mother. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, thank you so much, Advaita Krishna Prabhu, for beautiful narrations. And we're grateful that each and every other time we call upon you, you give us your direction and association. Thank you so much. Since we do not have any of the speakers left on the platform, I don't know if you'll be kind enough to take one or two questions before you do.
They have a few minutes. I'm going to rush back to the temple. There's a lot of nectar going on. Loknath Maharaj is making big bash. Yesterday, the day before, Maharaj led Kirtan for 2 hours non-stop in the temple room. Wow. I wasn't there because I had other service. But then yesterday, for 2 hours, Rath Yatra. And I could feel that Kirtan. Loknath Maharaj was singing so deeply that he was summoning Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to come and glorify Srimati Radharani today. And we had a wonderful Rath Yatra, and it was like full of bliss and full of joy. And Maharaj's energy, unending energy in Kirtan, like the sun. And he is in his 70s, and he can lead 2 hours Kirtan non-stop. So it was blissful. We can imagine our joy. So he's there. So I'm going to rush back. We'll take some questions quickly.
Okay. So if any of the devotees remaining on the platform, anyone ask a question or comment, please kindly, before we allow people to go. Yeah, Sadi Prabhu, please kindly unmute.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing Srimati Radharani with us today. I have a question about some people. I've heard from some devotees say that the gopis are all expansions of Radha herself. And some devotees also say that the gopis are Jiva Atmas, but of course they are headed by Srimati Radha, just as we have Gopas who are also Jiva Atmas and they are headed by Sri Krishna. So I want you to shed more light on this. If it is true that all the gopis are expansions of Srimati Radha herself.
Actually, in our Sampradaya, all of us are expansions of the Shakti, because we are not expansions of Shaktiman in a way. We are expansions of Shakti. We are expansions of the female counterpart of the Supreme Lord. Definitely the gopis are expansion. There are 630 million gopis. And they're all expansions of Srimati Radharani. Because she is the one who wants the joy of Krishna to expand, so she expands. Now, as far as expansions of the Narmasakas and the Gopas, I cannot speak. I don't know much about it. But whether the gopis are Jiva Shakti or the special Shakti, I also don't know much about that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, are there any other questions or comments on Srimati Radhika's activities?
Hare Krishna. I think
Hare
that you
Krishna.
had.
This one, I think I will allow you to go join the nectar going on. But
Yes.
I wish
Yes.
I can expand myself into 2-3 bodies, like Krishna, and then be in that environment also. Enjoy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Yes, just one thing is like you brought something up, because the jivas, the Parshadas of Krishna, they can expand. Arjuna can expand into free fall if he wants. Narad Muni can expand into 16,108 when he followed Krishna, different palaces. So, such devotees have empowerment, and this is all done for the enjoyment of Krishna. So whatever Krishna needs to be to have had done, he will have had done. It's no limit to him. So sometimes we can understand it in rasa like this, or we can try to sort of try to understand it in tattva precisely. Makes no difference to us, because we know that we're here to serve Krishna, and we're here to give him joy. He's a supreme enjoyer. And that is probably the highest understanding, because this is a lowest form of conditioning that we are the enjoyer, and the highest form of service is Krishna as the enjoyer. So let him enjoy everything that I have to offer to him, and therefore everything can be reconciled on that platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Please kindly unmute at this moment. Let us loudly chant Hare Krishna Maha and try to appreciate Prabhu and all of the previous speakers for attending this auspicious celebration online.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
His Grace Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu ki jai. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki jai. His Holiness Kavitendra Swami Maharaj
ki jai.
All glory to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for being here. So we'll call it a day for now. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again on this platform by tomorrow for our regular daily Srimad Bhagavatam class. At the same time, 4 p.m. Nigerian time, 3 p.m. Ghana time, and then depending on whichever location we are, 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, depending on our location. But it's the same time, same channel, same platform. Thank you so much. We're deeply appreciative for making this a success. It is all by your participation that we have this beautiful. And this actually marks a remarkable celebration for us to be able to bring people from diverse backgrounds to speak on this wonderful appearance of our Divine Mother, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. May Guru and Krishna bestow the love of